Well, that was one of the most body horrific possession movies I've ever seen. Let's get into it. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review of a movie that just came to Shudder called The Demon Disorder. And boy, The Demon Disorder, I saw the trailer for months ago, and I've been anxiously awaiting it. And I did a little bit of research last night because I wanted to kind of get an idea where this movie stemmed from, why I was so interested in it, and why are all the pieces lining up for me to want to see this movie. But first, what is this movie all about? This movie is about three brothers who are dealing with the loss of their father. Their pasts all sort of collide as they've been sort of estranged from each other since the passing of their father. And you find out that there was some different things that were going on, including some weird things that seemed like he was possessed. Their worlds collide when they meet up for one of their brother Philip's birthday, who is showing signs just like the father had, and they need to come to terms with what they're going to do next. And suddenly their entire garage turns into a revenge story from beyond the grave. Now that's kind of putting it light. If you've seen the trailer, you know there's some possession stuff going on there. I'm not going to say how it works or what it works with, but let's just say it is body horror centric in a way that I have never seen a possession movie done before. And let me tell you something, guys, when you start saying things like body horror and practical effects and demons, well, you got my attention. And it turns out that the director of this movie is Stephen Boyle. This is his directorial and writer debut for a feature film, and he's a special effects makeup guy who has been working in the industry in some of my favorite movies, like Daybreakers, which is one of my most favorite underground like vampire movies, Predestination, I Am Mother, Love and Monsters, Black Sheep he's worked on, and he also worked on a movie back in 2003 called Undead, which was kind of like an Australian zombie film that felt very, Peter Jackson-y, which actually had a different subplot that would make Zack Snyder jealous for his movie Army of the Dead that it kind of seems like he lifted the idea from. But the Spierig brothers did it first. They made that movie, which they also produced this movie, Peter and Michael Spierig, and Peter Spierig also did the score for this movie, which I thought was pretty good in this. But yeah, so it's all interconnected here, because that's how it works. You go down the rabbit hole and you try to figure out one thing, it just leads you to another thing, and then I find out about everything. You can't hide from me. So yeah, all of that makes me very super interested in The Demon Disorder, and I really liked it. It wasn't the best thing I've seen all year, but I really enjoyed it. I thought the concept in this was like super cool because I was really interested in how this infection and this possession works. And I don't want to get any more into it than that because it has some sort of a twist in the movie, and the practical effects are obviously the showcase here because we're working with a special effects makeup guy who wants to make a movie. And generally these guys want to go for the gusto, and I appreciate it. So thank you, Stephen Boyle. I feel like sometimes we don't really take it as far as we want, and I feel like I've got the mind of a special effects makeup guy who really wants to push the boundaries with doing some like The Thing level or the Blob level type stuff, and this movie kind of goes that way in Possession or The Demon Disorder. Now, I don't want to get you too hyped because this movie isn't perfect all the way through. I did enjoy it. It wasn't hard to watch, and a lot of the moments in the film were very jaw-droppingly gorgeous, especially for the practical effects. The one thing that I felt like might be missing a little bit in here was a sense of atmosphere a little bit, and sort of the build up for the scares in this movie. Maybe it's because this is the first feature film. My personal thought is that the movie's storyline was a little jumbled. Doesn't need to be a super deep film. There is a couple layers to it though, so it's not like it's not a vapid movie. It's not just a creature feature movie or a possession movie. It has more layers to it. It has a message about it and kind of how we deal with family and death and all this other stuff. But somewhere it gets lost a little in its own sauce, kind of mixing up the atmosphere and the vibe that I feel like was not as present as I wanted it to be, which would have made this film infinitely better. But don't get me wrong, I still like what I saw here and I still like the concept. I would love to do a movie in the vein of this concept because I think it's very cool what they do with how this whole lore works. And man, I could see with a bigger budget, this could go really big. Now, this is an indie film. It's not as big as that, and it's dealing with a family, 3 brothers and a dad who passed away, and a couple other characters that they bump into. But for the most part, it is very condensed into a couple of homes, a garage, and boy, do they show a lot. I think you should definitely check it out if you are into body horror and you like special effects makeup or practical effects, because this will definitely be a treat for you. But as far as the story and the sort of pacing and maybe the atmosphere, it's a little rough around the edges there, but I think you'll still appreciate it like I did. I'm just a little more particular about that in some ways. I can't even imagine what it's like to be a director to try to do that. And, you know, maybe it's just first debut films woes, and this will get better, because all I can tell you from what I saw here is that Stephen Boyle has a lot of promise, and I will definitely be watching his movies going forward. Definitely would give this movie about a 7, maybe 7.5 out of 10. I need to watch it again because it has so many things in it that I love that I feel like I need to give it another watch just to make sure that I'm 100% right about how I feel. It's hard when you're doing these reviews because sometimes you can get blindsided by the things you like and give it a higher score because that, and you try to be as fair as possible. So, but I still enjoyed it, and I think some of you will either like it or maybe be lower on the scale depending on your interests. Like, it's not going to be The Thing, it's not going to be The Blob, but it definitely has a lot of that charm in it as far as like practical effects and like things that you like to see that you haven't seen before. This definitely has it. It's on an indie scale, but yeah, I have to stick with my guns here, and you know, I hope to see more from Stephen Boyle and crew in the future. They definitely have the practical effects 100% down, and the concept of this, very cool. It's up on Shudder now. I would love to hear what you guys think about it. Like, how did you feel about watching this movie? Are you excited to see this movie? Do you see promise in this film like I did? Do you think that I'm too low on the score or too high? You know, everybody's a little bit different, but I would love to hear about it in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for continually enjoying and watching my content. I've got a new Beetlejuice video out. I've got other videos that you might not have seen because the YouTube algorithm can be kind of heinous sometimes for some of us. So always check the channel, and be sure to hit the like and the follow and the little bell notification, because that'll let you know, hopefully, that I got a new video up. Anyway, thanks for coming by, and as always, long live the void.